pink, and purple. Let's go. I took advantage of the really good weather today and cleared all the cars out of the garage and cleaned all along that wall and picked up some tools. I got some organizing to do yet, and I got to clear off the Lincoln. Don't look at that too hard, but we moved that car out under its own power. That means we got the steering column taken care of and the shifter installed. So it's a pretty big video. I got to go ahead and clearance this so it clears the brake pedal. So I'm just gonna take and, no, I'm just kidding, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna cut this out and make a flat plate. That's a start. I'm gonna get a grinder over here, hang on. Sorry about the sound in the background, my furnace is running, but I made this little patch panel. I'm just gonna weld it right on there and grind it flush, and that should be enough. Looks fine. Let's go get it cleaned up. also cleaned up the 58 turn signal lever that's much longer than the 59 one. The 59 one's in much better shape though, but this is light like aluminum. And this one's heavy. You can tell it was chrome steel at one point. I'm gonna go ahead and clean the old grease out of the bearing as well. I got everything cleaned up. I'm just gonna dab a little bit of high temperature grease in it, try to push it down in that bearing as much as I can. I just need something to do it with that I don't mind getting. Yeah. Maybe just a piece of cardboard. I think we can get the grease down in there with some cardboard. I wonder if I should dab a little bit of grease under here too. Underneath the turn signal mechanism. Just to keep it smooth. It's pretty smooth, but don't know that they would have greased it from factory. That's good enough. This collar, I think, is brass or something. It looks brass, but it might not be. I need to fix that little boogered up thread too. I don't want to forget that. I think it's good. I guess the way this works is as it slides down, it pinches and holds onto the column. That's kind of cool. Try to avoid getting the end greasy that I have to touch later. Oh, that's just me hitting them. There we go. That's already way smoother. That fresh grease made a big difference. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put the column back together now. My notch for the brake pedal works perfectly. Plenty of room now. I got the steering wheel popped on with the spring in. It spins nice. There's no slop or anything in it. We're in good shape. Pulling the stock Chevy stuff off so I can take a peek and see what the best route of adapting this is going to be. I'm trying to be gentle here. I don't want to break anything. There we go. There we go. All right, check this all out. I'm going to cut this spline farther back to hopefully bring this up off that upper control arm bolt a little bit. So I've got everything kind of temporarily up, which is the theme of me. I think what I can do is just take a thick piece of steel I got down here and make a brace and weld it from the top of the frame, drill a hole in it so I can use this bearing to hold the steering up off the suspension. Sorry, I'm foggy. I'll have to reinforce this later, but for testing purposes, it's gonna work out just fine. Gotta do a steering adapter. The brace, the bracket that I was gonna make, it just isn't gonna work. I've got more work to do here to get this all to clear, but it's close. I'm a little frustrated with it, but it's close. All right, so what I've done is weld this bearing in this piece of round tubing, and I'm gonna weld it directly to the frame to hold the steering up out of the way of all the suspension. This is gonna be a test fit. I'm gonna tack it in, see how everything moves, and we will come back to it. All right, so I welded this bearing, guide bearing, with a stem, a metal stem. It's fully adjustable now, and I can double nut it to lock it into place so it doesn't move up or down with vibrations, hopefully. And then to make up for how the steering column comes down sharp and really low in the car, I kicked this one out to where the original steering column runs basically in the path that it would have run originally, because it would have come from down here and come up where my hand is, but now it comes down here. So I tried to take any stress off the rag joint that is directly on the steering box. So I'm gonna hop in the car and I'm gonna give it a spin, and we're gonna see how smooth the action is on this bad boy. Are we ready? Here we go. It feels pretty good. I don't see any goofy wobbling or anything. I don't feel any binding. I think it's good. That is a big step forward. That's awesome. Here's my Cyber Monday Amazon Prime shifter. I'm gonna go ahead and blow this thing apart and try to put it together on the shifter without taking the on the transmission without taking it out of the car. right, so I cut me a giant hole in the floor. I was going to try to assemble it from underneath, but it's really kind of pointless to try that. A lot of transmissions have access ports anyway. Gosh, what is that? Sorry, I'm sitting on everything. So these kits, this was like 80 bucks on Amazon. It was a Cyber Monday deal. So they have provisions in the side. This is a 200 R4 transmission. The kit is for everything but these transmissions have provisions on the side. They're just holes. So it comes with these plugs that slide into those holes in the transmission. I'll show when we get it all mounted. But I just put each side together roughly where I think I want it. Unfortunately, one of my Allen head bolts is, the threads, I guess, weren't machined correctly, so I'm missing one. But I'll run to the hardware store and get one after everything's put together. So this is just going to be a mock-up. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and slide this together and try to get it put together from the top. It might be a nightmare, but I'm going to try it. As long as that doesn't fall down. Once I get the two pieces married together, I don't have a lot to worry about. Again, this kit doesn't go to this transmission, so I could be making huge mistakes. But so far, so good. I'm going to have to make my own rear bracket. But again, that's not a huge deal. That's the thing with, you know, custom cars. You always kind of got to make stuff work. Whether it's intended for what you're using it or not. The aftermarket, especially this cheap stuff, if I would have gotten a really nice low car shifter, you know, for 400 bucks or whatever, I wouldn't be having any trouble, I'm sure. That stuff looks really good. This is just like a cheap Chinese knockoff. But that's, you know, I like to watch people build stuff who, you know, like me, don't have tons of money to spend. So that's just kind of what this is. This is a car that would be a high dollar car under normal circumstances. You know, they're expensive to build. They're expensive to put together. There's like, these cars, there's kind of two fandoms for these cars. You know, there's the forward look Mopar guys who are just die hard, you know, don't modify them, don't mess them up. Not every car has to be pristine. And then there's the other people who are pristine fans, and they will go above and beyond to help you and make sure that you can get your car done, pristine or not. So far, this is going better than I expected, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, we're looking okay. Cutting a giant hole in the floor was definitely the move. Knowing me, though, I probably forgot a key ingredient to this somehow. Okay, you can see how this one hugs the transmission. The back's supposed to go up a little bit. This one I accidentally put on backwards. It happens. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip that back around and fix it, and then I'll be right back. All right, I got that fixed. Now I just gotta make a bracket. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna make a bracket that marries these two together and goes down to where that exhaust bracket bolted on. And I'll cut that off, and I'll just weld a tab that goes up and then jumps over. So I'll make that bracket real quick and get that put together. All right, I made a little bracket down there. I got the linkage hooked up and it's working, not terrible. Obviously it's gonna be a little janky because it was cheap and it's Amazon, but I think for the, $80 that I paid for it, I'm gonna be okay for now until maybe later on I'll put something more expensive, or I'll switch this at least from a solid linkage to a cable, and that'll be a little more reliable. But it does have a lockout though, so you know that's not bad. But so it would be park, you bring it over, reverse, neutral, drive, 1, 2. I might have went through too many there, but I'm never gonna drive this thing in anything other than drive. So reverse, neutral, drive, 1, 2. Yeah, I think I'm skipping through too many, but I think there's 3 on the 200 R4, but I'm not sure. Could be wrong. Reverse, neutral, drive, 1, 2. Yeah, maybe that's right. All right, so I just gotta make sure everything's tightened up now so nothing bad happens. Okay, so really all I need to do now is wire up an ignition and maybe, you know, brace up this firewall a little bit, because when you push the brakes, the whole firewall moves. Brace that up and put some kind of ignition switch in here, and we might be able to drive this thing. I've done a little Googling. I got my battery hooked up with some vice grips. I think this big purple wire should be my starter wire. So if I split this, touch it to hot, the engine should turn over. Then all I will need is power to the distributor and a fuel source, and that should be it. So let's just do a quick test. We'll try it out. I was gonna use the original Caprice wiring harness, but then I thought about it, and it's just too many wires for what I need, and cutting down the wiring harness doesn't make a whole bunch of sense, just because it's just so much cutting and figuring out when I could just order a $100 wiring harness that's all brand new off of Amazon or something that comes with the relays. It's just so much simpler for what I'm trying to do. So this should turn the car over, hopefully. Yep. So then I just need to figure out what excites the distributor, and this thing should start. And it will be the first time it starts made into the new chassis. And it looks like we've got a big fat red wire that goes somewhere. I'd imagine that it probably goes to one of these big fat red wires. Well, these might be pink. This is probably a bad time to mention that I actually have a pretty severe red-green deficiency when it comes to colors. So I'm colorblind, actually. It goes down into this harness. I could make my own jumper wire. I mean, they're red, right? Red would mean they need to be hot, unless they got hot coming out, which I don't think so, because there's nothing switched. But it could be battery constant hot. All right, let me do some figuring. I'll be right back. All right, I got the test light, and I figured out that one of these is hot hooked to the battery. I think it was this one. Yeah, that one. So I would assume that this big fat red one right here probably is for the distributor, but I could be wrong. I could be horribly, horribly wrong. We could be making a gigantic mistake right now. Because there's no guarantee that the distributor comes right out of this wiring harness. But I would assume that it does, that it's one of the main wires out of the firewall, wouldn't you? So what I'm gonna do, let me get a little spray. Yeah, hang on one moment. I'm gonna hit this thing with some brake clean. Because, you know, that's the safest way to see if I have ignition. Actually, I have a spark plug tester too. I should probably do that, but I'm not very bright. What can I say? I'd lost my wire, but I put it in my pocket. All right, so I'm gonna run this one to this one. Hold that to there and touch the purple. I don't think that's right. Unless I just didn't give myself enough fuel. We'll try it this way one more time and then we'll get the spark plug tester out. How's that sound? Yeah, I can't tell if there's any spark there. I don't think so. All right, I gotta figure out what's run. Actually, I could just check, when I power this, I could check at the distributor. So if I lay this on power, I should have power at the distributor terminal. You special boy. And I do not. Maybe it's pink, actually. Maybe that's a pink wire. So let me try to touch the pink wire here. Pull this. We know the red one's hot. So let me splice this pink one. Yep, there it is. It's the pink one. You can see the light behind the booster there. That's distributor power. So it's the pink one. So now this car should start for the first time married to this body. So I'm going to get back a little bit so we can enjoy this together. This should be the first start with the Caprice married to the Plymouth. This is the first start of this car. Legitimately, I did not start this off screen, off camera rather. So this should really be it. I almost forgot to plug my distributor back in. Let's hope that this works and everything goes swimmingly. All right, so pink and purple. Let's go. It ran out of fuel. I wired up a temporary ignition using a over-the-counter O'Reilly Auto lawn and tractor ignition switch. So that'll start the car. Perfect. almost done with the bottom of the 59 Buick, and we made some good progress on everything. So now I think it's time just for a proper burnout on the correct side, filming from the correct side.